let's talk about Pluto in Virgo. I want to talk about something that exists in the natal chart of Kamala Harris that I think is incredibly profound. It's an opposition that is occurring from the fourth house of deep feeling, of home, of roots, of inner psychology, of ancestry, a very interior self house. An opposition that's occurring from that house to the 10th house, which is the pinnacle of the chart. It is one's role in the world. It is, yes, there's really no better way to say it than one's role in the world. Okay? In the chart of Kamala Harris, in the sign of Virgo, in that fourth house, there is a conjunction, which is to say the planets are close together, so they're all working together as a team. The planet of Uranus, which is the ruler of Aquarius. This is a planet true to the way in which it revolves around the sun on its side. It's the only one that does that. This is inherently the eccentric in the sense that it is beyond the box. It is not limited by constraints that are readily put upon or expected. This is the bolt of lightning that jolts with bolts of electricity, with inspiration. This is that type of an energy planet and planetary signature. We thus also find this propensity to be the challenger, to be the voice which is speaking out against the norms. Uranus is fueling that, this planetary signature. So we have Uranus sitting conjunct with Pluto, and I was explaining Pluto in the last video as being what is tied into a cohort of souls, if you will. So Pluto in Virgo. Now Pluto on its own, I need folks to understand this. Even though Pluto was booted out of the solar system, think about this. In the field of evolutionary astrology, Pluto is likened to the soul itself. So I don't think it is even remotely a coincidence that the planet representing the soul of the self was actually kicked out of the solar system by modern science. Because modern science has literally divorced the soul, divorced the poetry from the study of life itself, okay? The ancients did not divorce astrology and astronomy from one another. They didn't take the poetry out of the study of the cosmos, which frankly, the dance of the planets is a freaking work of art. To divorce these two things makes literally no sense. That aside. However, Pluto, other than just thinking of it as the soul through the lens of evolutionary astrology, the way that I see Pluto, because of the shape of the glyph or the symbol of Pluto, I see it as being literally the golden chalice. I see it as being the holy grail which holds the elixir of life. The elixir of life is water, and water is likened to emotion, is likened to the soul. Okay? The chalice which holds that elixir of life, the quality of that chalice is determined by our own relationship to Pluto and Plutonic themes. Pluto is the ruler of the underworld for a reason. There is a reason why the alchemists were turning the quote-unquote shit into gold. We're turning base materials, we're turning dirt, we're turning the dark, the decomposing into the gold. This is a Plutonic alchemical process. This is the root, most deeply rooted essence of what wealth is. It is the ability to take nothing and turn it into gold. All of this is Pluto. In the sign of Virgo, there is this signature related into this intention of service. Turning the shit into gold as a means of being of service to the collective and feeling massively fulfilled by that. So, okay, we're talking about Kamala Harris's 4th house, we're talking about Uranus now and Pluto, also sitting with Venus. This is the last planet in this little planetary conjunction, or this team that is existing in the sign of Virgo, this service-oriented sign of Virgo. Now, Venus is beauty, is love, is relationship, is the ability to attune oneself to the sensory pleasures of life. In the sign of Virgo, there is a pleasure that is being derived from the very act of being of service. All of these planets, these 3 planets, when we put this together, we have an inherently innovative and out-of-the-box means of relating to being of service as a profound practice of transformation, holding this ability in relation to relationships with others. However, this isn't the full picture. The full picture is that in the chart of Kamala Harris, these planets are sitting across from, directly opposed by, the asteroid Chiron, which we associate with both the wound and the healer, and also this idea of the wounded healer. Now, Chiron was a centaur who was profoundly gifted in the healing arts, was an astrologer, was working with sound, was working with the herbs, etc. And Chiron was immortal, but was pierced by an arrow and was slowly in this agonizing state of not actually being able to die, and was unable to find a cure for his own ailment, and was thus granted mortality so as to be, in a sense, put out of his own misery. However, where we find Chiron in the chart, we find this area which, as reflected to us by a truer nature of time, which is to say, in this spiraling manner, we are consistently returning to this theme, this wound, and peeling back the layers as a means of accessing our own healing, and as a way of then taking that and sharing it to help others to heal. So this existing in the 10th house, in the sign of Pisces. Now, the sign of Pisces is associated with spirituality, is associated with the divine, is associated with the bliss state, if you will. This is the last sign in the zodiacal wheel. This is the closest that we will get to God. This is the furthest removed from this idea of self. Pisces, aside from being tied into spirituality in this way, and in fact we as a collective are moving out of the Piscean Age and into the Age of Aquarius. This is being reflected to us by the fact that now Pluto is moving into the sign of Aquarius. We're moving into a new era in terms of the cohort of souls that are showing up in the collective evolutionary themes that are present at this time. Pisces, best embodied by our Savior Jesus Christ, who was crucified as a scapegoat to perpetuate forgiveness of the sins of all. Okay, this idea is out. This idea is going out the window. Why? Why is this idea being put to rest? It's because there is no Savior that is coming to take humanity and spare us from the collective misery that we have created. It is up to us to roll up our sleeves. It is up to us to empower ourselves with the understanding that we are the ones to create the change, that we are the ones to perpetuate the improvement, the evolution of the state of things into a greater situation for us all. It's up to us. Chiron in Pisces is about this wound. In the 10th house, it is about this wound, and also a wounded perception around what is possible relative to one's role in society. So we have Venus, that feminine planet, being opposed by Chiron in the 10th house. This is literally the idea of, oh, women can't go out and do something like become the president or have this or that role. This is why Kamala Harris throughout her life has been challenging those antiquated gender stereotypes relative to what is possible in terms of one's role in the world. Not only that, but what I see as being the culmination of those lessons at this time is how the framework that is being presented by Kamala Harris and in her campaign, the message of her party, is relative to that of rolling up one's sleeves and doing the work. I literally just recently heard her use this phrase of hard work being joyful work. This is inherently a very Virgo thing to say. This is the way in which we step into a sense of empowerment. It's important to note that we had another eclipse just at the beginning of this year. Okay, that was also traveling across the United States. Now, this eclipse occurred in the sign of Aries, and it was conjunct Chiron. This is because Chiron has been in the sign of Aries for us now for quite some time. So we have been dealing with wounds relative to how we boldly stand in our purpose. We have been dealing with wounds relative to even accessing or connecting to the will to live, to our direction, to our drive, to our passion, to our desire. Desire is a divine vehicle. It is through understanding and feeling a sense of excitement, a sense of verve, a sense of passion, a sense of desire that we even know where we want to go. And this is one of the reasons why I'm creating these videos, as a way of very passionately standing for what I am for, and as a way of expressing why I feel so strongly about this particular direction. I feel strongly about this particular direction, Aries. This is the fire. We had that eclipse in the sign of Aries conjunct Chiron. And it's because we are meant to be at this time embracing that energy of Aries, the warrior, the heart warrior. I believe that when we are in an orientation of fear, we view joy, we view excitement, we view passion, we view levity through a lens of suspicion, through a lens of doubt. We put it down. We minimize it. We diminish it. We say, oh, how could you possibly be talking about joy when there's this X, Y, and Z catastrophe or whatever, this X, Y, and Z threat? It's because we on a deeper level, those who allow themselves into the vulnerable place where joy, where passion, where excitement, where verve live, those who allow themselves into that place understand that this is the vantage point, this is the set point, this is the foundational point from which we can clearly discern the best direction forward. It is not in focusing on the problem that we will understand what the best direction forward is. We are not a match vibrationally to the solution if we are focused on the problem. Those of you who are still with me, this is why I believe Kamala Harris is best suited for the job. Aside from the obvious, which is that on the surface of things, the words themselves are aligned with the future, as opposed to moving away from some grossly magnified in a way which is inherently distorted, in a way which is inherently deceptive threat. To be continued.